Joining me now is Alireza Jafarzadeh, a Middle East analyst and the president of Strategic Policy Consulting Incorporated. He is also the author of The Iran Threat, President Ahmadinejad and the Coming Nuclear Crisis. Sir, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
So do you believe that Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is sincerely ready to have meaningful talks with the United States?
Well, I think for any meaningful dialogue and negotiation with Tehran, there are three imperatives. One, is Tehran willing to abandon its nuclear weapons program? Two, is Tehran ready to halt its support for terrorism and violent meddling in Iraq? And three, whether Tehran is willing to end the systematic violation of human rights. And I think by looking at the experience of the past 3 decades, the answer is a resounding no.
I was just going to say that's a pretty heavy list. Now, as you mentioned, it's been 3 decades since the two countries had any real kind of relationship. So if they were to talk, where would they even start?
Well, I think the subjects on the table are very clear, and the two sides know it very well. The issue of terrorism, that Tehran is supporting terrorist groups around the world, that is violently intervening in Iraq, is a very, very top priority. Also, the nuclear weapons program of Tehran. The world has been trying to stop Tehran from developing its nuclear weapons program. And also the third issue is the human rights issue. So I would ask, if I were in the position of the United States, that what is the response of Tehran to these three major developments? Are they willing to back down and change their rogue behavior or not? If not, then there's no point in continuing the negotiations.
But does Iran even admit to all of that, what you call rogue behavior?
Well, as far as they're concerned, not at all. They feel that it's the outside world that has the rogue behavior, that Tehran is actually the victim of terrorism, and they have no nuclear weapons program. It's all for peaceful purposes.
Electricity.
And the public hangings, and exactly for electricity, and the public hangings and the killings and, slashing youth and women, whipping them in public. These are all observing human rights. So if you want to go by Tehran's standards, it's a non-starter. But we have to go with the international norms and standards, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. These are things that Tehran has been a signatory to, and they have to abide by it. There are 4 United Nations Security Council resolutions that Tehran has violated. So we have to bring Tehran to the table and get them to abide by these internationally recognized principles. Otherwise, they will go out of their way.
Right. A tall order. I want to ask you one last question. Do you think that face-to-face talks, if they were to occur between Washington and Tehran, would be more harmful than helpful to the U.S. and to the new president during these turbulent economic times?
I think given the fact that there is no sign that Tehran is going to abandon its rogue behavior, and the history of the past 3 decades has shown that the talks with Tehran hasn't produced anything, the option that is before the President of the United States that would really help him and the Western countries is one of the 3 options that I believe should be pursued. One is to have an unconditional dialogue with Tehran, which will be negotiating on their terms, which is a no-starter. I think it's going to end with defeat. Second is to engage in military strike against Tehran. Some experts argue. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. But the third option that the President has, which seems to be more viable than all the other options, is to invest in millions in Iran, whose cry is for freedom, the youth and the students. And that requires reaching out not to the regime, not to Ahmadinejad, not to the supreme leader, but to the people of Iran, to the main Iranian opposition who has shown the ability to mobilize the youth and women and is actually an existential threat to the Iranian regime. The movement, ironically, is led by a woman, Mariam Rajavi, has gained major success in Europe. The European Union has removed the group from the terrorist list. And President Obama has said that he's willing to work with the U.S.'s European allies. So maybe this is what he should do, follow the Europeans' lead and reach out to the opposition and remove them from the terror list.
Sir, thank you very much for being with us this evening and sharing your thoughts on this important stuff. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.